Samson and Delilah. A story of strength, love, and betrayal. The sun burned golden over the Philistine valley as Samson, the strongest man to ever walk the earth, stood tall among his people. He was chosen by God before birth, set apart as a Nazirite, blessed with unimaginable strength, a power tied to the uncut locks of his hair. His name alone sent fear through the hearts of the Philistines, for he had single-handedly defeated armies, torn apart a lion, and carried city gates upon his shoulders. But even the mightiest warrior has a weakness, and for Samson, that weakness had a name: Delilah. A love that led to betrayal. Samson first laid eyes on Delilah in the lush valley of Sorek. She was breathtaking, her eyes dark as midnight, her beauty like a whisper of temptation. She was unlike any woman he had ever met. She laughed like the wind, spoke like poetry, and danced like the waves of the sea. Samson, the warrior, the lion slayer, the judge of Israel, fell deeply in love. But love, when misplaced, can be deadlier than any enemy. The Philistine rulers saw his weakness and approached Delilah with a sinister deal. Find the secret of his strength, and we will give you silver beyond your dreams. Delilah hesitated. She had grown close to Samson, but the lure of wealth and power was too great. She agreed. The deception begins. That night, as Samson rested his head in Delilah's lap, she whispered sweetly, her fingers tracing the length of his hair. "Samson, my love, tell me, what makes you so strong? How could someone overpower you?" Samson chuckled. He trusted her. He had no reason to doubt the woman he loved. "If they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have never been dried, I will become weak," he lied. As soon as he drifted into sleep, Delilah signaled the Philistines hiding nearby. They rushed in, ropes in hand. "Samson, the Philistines are upon you," she cried. With one effortless flex, Samson snapped the bowstrings apart like thread. The Philistines fled in terror. Delilah pouted, her voice dripping with disappointment. "You lied to me, my love. How can you say you love me when you keep secrets from me?" The fall of a mighty warrior. Again and again, she asked. Again and again, Samson played with deception. Each time she tried to betray him, and each time his strength remained. But love can blind even the strongest. One night, after much pleading, tears glistening in her eyes, Delilah whispered, "How can you say you love me when you keep your heart from me? If you truly love me, you will tell me the truth." Samson, weary and drunk with love, looked into her eyes and sighed. "My strength is in my hair. I have been dedicated to God since birth. If my hair is cut, I will be as weak as any other man."
A slow smile crept across Delilah's lips. That night, as Samson slept in the arms of betrayal, Delilah took a razor and cut away the locks of his strength. The power that had once made him invincible drained from him like water slipping through open fingers. She called the Philistines one final time. "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke and tried to rise, as he had so many times before. But this time, he felt nothing. No power, no strength, no divine fire. The Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and dragged him away in chains. The mighty Samson, God's chosen warrior, was now a prisoner, blind and broken. The redemption of Samson. After betrayal and blindness, Samson sat in the depths of a Philistine prison, his once mighty body now weak, his spirit crushed. He had lost everything: his strength, his sight, his freedom. But one thing he had not lost was God's mercy. As days passed, something miraculous happened. His hair began to grow back. More than just hair, it was a symbol of God's redemption, a sign that God had not abandoned him despite his failures. One day, the Philistines held a great feast in honor of their god Dagon, mocking Samson and the God of Israel. They dragged Samson into the temple, laughing at the once mighty warrior who now stood blind and broken before them. But what they didn't realize was God wasn't finished with Samson yet. With his hands placed on the two mighty pillars of the temple, Samson whispered a final, desperate prayer. "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more." And in that moment, God answered. With one final surge of divine strength, Samson pushed against the pillars with all his might. The ground trembled. Cracks split through the massive stone walls. The mighty temple of Dagon collapsed, crushing thousands of Philistine leaders, warriors, and false priests. Samson fell with them, but not in defeat. He died in victory, taking more enemies in his death than he had in his life. He had failed in his journey, but God had still used him for his glory. The lesson for us today. Samson's story isn't just about strength, it's about God's grace, second chances, and the power of prayer. Even when we fail, when we fall, when we feel lost and broken, God can still use us. No matter your past, God's plan is greater. No matter your mistakes, God's mercy is bigger. No matter how far you've fallen, God can restore you. So never stop believing, never stop trusting, and never stop praying. Subscribe to Bible Study and Pray Daily for more faith-filled stories, devotionals, and lessons from God's Word. Let's grow in faith together. Thank you for watching. I love you.
Bible Study and Pray Daily, growing in faith, one day at a time.